Hey guys, this is Jay Calder with Jay Unboxing, here giving you a personal prediction for Canelo Alvarez versus Dmitry Bivol. And as always, this is just my personal take. Of course, your predictions can be left down in the comments section below, along with any other sort of bets or interesting picks you might have. Would love to hear them all. A little bit of fight info here. We have Canelo versus Bivol taking place at the T-Mobile Arena in Las Vegas, Nevada, airing live on DAZN pay-per-view, with Bivol's WBA light heavyweight title on the line. And of course, it's a Canelo fight, so this one is one of the biggest fights of the year. But interestingly enough, it isn't one that every fan believes is all that exciting yet, stylistically. But in my personal opinion, it's a real challenge for Canelo, regardless of what the odds may say, and we'll get into those later on. Bivol is a very talented fighter, and his size, his technique, and his shot selection could trouble the Mexican more than many think. That being said, Canelo's Canelo. He's in the prime of his career, and if you ask Mayweather fans, his prime started at 22 years old, and he's still in that prime somehow, amazingly. So it's an interesting fight in my book for sure, one that I'm happy to be getting into here. So without much more delay, let's get into this one. Starting with Canelo here, of course. For Canelo to win, I think he needs to switch up the right hand. He has a very good right hand, a skilled right hand that he can vary up quite a bit. And one of the ways in which he does that is by throwing it a bit more over the top. Another way is by throwing it more as almost a hook slash uppercut when his opponent dips down to that side. Bivol might do that, especially as he tries to box and move and get out of the way of the onslaught of Canelo. And I think Canelo has his best chance of making sure he does that by switching up that right hand. Throw it up top and make him dip over more. Throw it down and make him stand upright more. And you can kind of repeat that process. Eventually, one of those right hands will land, and it'll have some success for Canelo in this fight. Next thing I would say is cut off the ring. Canelo's going to be the one coming forward most of the time in this fight, if you ask me. I think Bivol will come forward and look to put some shots together. He enjoys doing that. But ultimately, with the superior footwork, I think he's going to look to try and set up those shots by making Canelo walk into something. It'll be Canelo's responsibility to make sure that he's not walking into something, but rather cutting off the ring. He's going to want to make sure his lead foot's on the outside, and he's kind of framing Bivol up a bit more, putting him up against those ropes, trying to get him in that corner, and then he can start doing some damage. But if he's just walking straight forward, it's going to play into the hands of Bivol, who will light him up with some quick combinations and then get out of the way. And as a bigger man, those shots will matter a lot more. Canelo has to make sure he's using those angles, some head movement, some shoulder rolls, some feints, getting in, and then making sure that he's pressing Bivol back in an effective manner. And finally, one of the ways he's going to be able to land some right hands and cut off the ring is by attacking the body early. I think this benefits Canelo for obviously a number of reasons. It's going to drop the high guard of Bivol, which is very good at parrying shots and catching and shooting. Also, it's going to slow him down, both in terms of his own hand speed as well as his foot speed, which again Bivol has. Canelo's going to want to tax the body early, make sure he starts sapping some of that energy out of him. And I think he will begin to do that when he starts realizing that landing upstairs is a bit more challenging. As Canelo does this, the fight's going to open up a lot more for him, and he'll have more success later on in the contest. Now, for Bivol to win, I think he needs to land the short left hook. He has a really good sweeping left hook that he lands on the inside when an opponent's coming in and is trying to rush him after maybe another combination was thrown. And whether that initial combination is successful, when Bivol just sweeps that left hand across, it can catch his opponent almost in a check left hook fashion and set them off in the wrong direction, not allowing them to come in, and then giving Bivol a chance to reset. It's a very good, quick, short shot that I think he can have some success with, especially with the longer arms. And this will push Canelo back and give Bivol the chance he needs to regroup and then begin scoring once again. I would also say don't pull straight back if you're Bivol. That's going to be a way that allows, again, the job of Canelo to be much easier, which Canelo's going to try to look to corner you and push you back. Instead, you're going to want to use angles. You're going to want to circle off to your left or to your right, depending on, what you think Canelo's throwing next. You're going to want to make sure you vary your movement while you're going backwards. This can be done a couple of ways. Number one, go forward sometimes. Obviously, you're going to want to press him as well. But in other ways, it could just be as simple as taking that, like I said, that step to the left, that step to the right, and ducking under the oncoming shots. What you don't want to do is get caught on that string where you're just going straight back every single time, because Canelo is a smart enough fighter that he's eventually going to time that, land something like an overhand right, and you're going to be in trouble in that situation if he lands that shot far too often. The final piece here I would say is walk him into that right hand. Now, while I say don't back up in a straight line, if you're Bivol, you do want to have sometimes a pull back right hand counter, or perhaps just take a quick step back knowing you're going to burst through with that that right hand. And this is for a couple of reasons. Number one, you have a good right hand. Why wouldn't you be looking to try and land it, especially when you have very quick hands, longer reach? You can potentially time and space it well that it lands and connects with some authority against Canelo, which you will need to do to gain his respect in this fight. What's more, if you're giving him those angles and moving to the sides, eventually when you are backing up, he might get greedy and try to jump the gun thinking that you're backing up in that straight line. If you can keep your straight right hand shorter and quicker, it will allow for you to be able to offset his timing and potentially land a bigger shot than he's expecting, which can only pay dividends for Bivol. Now, while I do think Bivol challenges Canelo throughout this fight a bit more than a lot of people do, and certainly than the odds suggest, I will have to agree I see Alvarez picking up the win here. Canelo will come out aggressive, but the measured approach of Bivol will force Alvarez to think a bit more and set up his work a bit better. The foot speed of Bivol and his combination punching will force Canelo to start digging to the body and slowing his man down. He'll have a harder time landing upstairs only until later in the fight when that begins to become a bit more open for him. In those middle frames, an overhand shot by Canelo will stun Bivol and begin to spell the end of the fight, so to speak. Canelo will begin walking him down more and more, landing more frequently as the fight progresses. In the later rounds, the work of Canelo will finally add up, dropping and eventually stopping Bivol with barrages against the ropes, he said, most likely jinxing this encounter. In any event, that's what I'm going with here. Canelo via late fight stoppage. Now, the betting odds for this fight are pretty wide open. They actually got even wider than they were when they opened up. You have Canelo as a pretty sizable favorite at a minus 600. Zero value in that bet, in my personal opinion. This is a risky enough fight that you just shouldn't be taking odds that high. You have Bivol coming in at a plus 390, so damn near a 4-1 underdog, which I think is very good value. Again, I wouldn't bet the house on it by any means, but that's certainly a pick you can potentially pick when you think about the fact that he is the bigger man naturally. He's got better foot speed, he's got really good combination punching, and he's a skilled, solid fighter. People are really overlooking this guy. Am I saying he's going to knock out Canelo in the first round? No, but I think he has a very good shot at potentially pulling off this upset, considering he is such a big underdog. Canelo could, of course, knock him out in a single round and make me look like a complete jackass as well. But I just think this fight's going to be a lot closer than people think, even though I have Canelo picking up the late stoppage. So you do have some value with the Bivol pick there. In terms of Canelo and any kind of bet you would want to lay on him, I did find a prop bet of Canelo by stoppage, that specific way of winning, at a plus 275, and I think that has a lot to do with the fact that at least smart money in the end does give Bivol a chance to at least see this fight through. I happen to think, based on the styles, Canelo has a solid shot at stopping him, and if I was looking to bet on Canelo here at basically 3-1 odds, that's not too bad. It might be something that I'd look into, but of course neither of these bets, because of these, just the makeup of this fight, are going to be such huge laydowns. I'm going to eventually just put down some reasonable money that I can see this fight going either way in terms of my bets. So for what it's worth, those are your odds. And in any event, my prediction record heading into the weekend is 17-5-0 with 4 exact. But let me know what you guys think down in the comments. We'd love to hear your thoughts, your predictions, your bets, so on and so forth. You got any exciting bets going on for this fight? Of course, we'd love to hear your picks for this one as well. Be sure to like, comment, share, subscribe, and follow me on Twitter at jcalderon_JOB. And you can email me at jagunboxing@gmail.com. I'd love to hear from you there. Also, be sure to check out jagunboxing.com for schedule, results, betting odds, rankings, and more. I did revamp the schedule, so for the next 2 to 3 months, you got a whole litany of fights coming up. You can check all of those out at jagunboxing.com. Also, in the comments, or rather in the description box below, you can check out my most recent edition of Fighter Grades, which was for this weekend's most recent fights. You can check that out, of course. And as always, until next time.